Welcome to Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode number 152, When Kids Fight, or Just Get Along. My name is Violet Newby, and I am from a very large family. I have 9 siblings. My mom and dad both had extraordinarily strong personalities, and I want you to know that in the home where I grew up, there was a great deal of fighting between a great number of people. I mean, there was a constant attitude of chaos and fighting and disagreement and disunity in the house where I grew up. So I learned to be quite a fighter. I didn't know anything about how to fight, certainly not how to fight fair, but I knew a lot about fighting. I want to ask you a question. How often do your kids fight? What do your kids fight about? What's going on with your kids when they fight? Okay. These are questions that you need to ask yourself and you need to pay attention to. Don't implement anything in light of what you're going to hear today. I want you to give it a couple weeks to a month, and I want you to leave some space in your Paint a Beautiful Picture journal so that over the next few weeks you can kind of record what your kids fight about and how they fight. In other words, are they fighting about toys? I want that toy. You had that toy. You used my video game. Why are you wearing my clothes? I can't believe you got into my stuff. Um, those are common kid fights. Or more perhaps uncommon ones. I hate it when you come into my room. You don't have any business nosing around when my friends are here. You need to back off. And I can't believe you made a mess out by the pool. And I'm so ticked off with you because every time we go somewhere, you have to make it all about drama and we're always late because of you. Or, oh my goodness, I need more time to get ready and you're always yelling at me to hurry up. And then notice the style with which they fight. Do they call names? Oh, you're so stupid. You're just an idiot. You're a monkey butt. Do they actually get physically involved? Are they pushing and shoving and hitting each other and punching each other and, knocking each other around, wrestling and maybe even throwing stuff and breaking stuff? What's their style? Not only what are they fighting about, how are they fighting? How are they going about this? All of these things you need to be looking at, and over the next few weeks, just write yourself some notes. And within a couple weeks or a month, you should sense some patterns going on because people often fight about the same old stuff. No joke. There have been studies that have shown that people often argue about the same things in their 50s and 60s with their siblings or their mates as they've thought about in their 20s and 30s. In other words, the same fight keeps coming up. Yeah, so you should see patterns in what's going on in your kids, in the things they're fighting about, and the ways they fight. You need to know these things before you can intervene. All right, so here's what I want you to pay attention to, things that can cause fights. Now, this can happen between coworkers. We see it in the world at large. This happens between church members. This happens within families, in all kinds of friendships. These are things that are some of the foundational issues of what people fight about. They have a different style. In other words, one person likes all pastels, and their friend says, "Man, why don't you ever wear anything bright?" Or like your whole entire house is, this off beige thing. It's pathetic. Didn't you ever think you wanted to paint a room blue or green or yellow? They just have different style, and people fight about this. They have different opinions. Wow. People fight about this. And our world has actually become more and more polarized. It wasn't like this when I was a kid. I literally used to watch the Democratic convention with my dad. Then we would watch the Republican convention. Um, I've just seen it really get more and more polarized as I've gotten older. So in the last 55 years of my life, it's amazing to me how this has happened. People have different opinions about how to tackle an issue, about what an issue really is, about what's important, about what needs to be done first. Those really are opinions, and yet they can cause massive division and fight. It's crazy. If you don't believe me, talk to your kids about who gets to listen to what on the radio. And you have one little kid who wants to listen to Baby Shark 4,000 times, and you have an older kid who wants to listen to a lot rowdier music, and you're going to hear some really big differences of opinion and have some fights in the car. Okay? People have different views, as we've talked about before. Take a basket of flowers or or a plant, and depending on who's looking at it from what angle, everyone isn't seeing the exact same thing. We have different perceptions or views, and your view isn't right, and my view isn't wrong. My view isn't right, and your view isn't wrong. They're just different. But in today's world, especially, differences are a reason to fight, as in tear things up, burn things down, hurt people, beat people over the head. Wow. Okay, let's talk about fights. If your kid's ever seeing the news or exposed to it, maybe that's what they think you do with the difference of opinion. That's pretty scary, or a different viewpoint about things. Okay, then we have those people who are, I'm right, they're always right, and hence you're wrong. I mean, that's the way it is, and I grew up with a whole family full of those people. Oh, and when I was younger, I was notoriously one of those people. That's a huge way to get into a fight. And sometimes people with very strong personalities are kind of prone to this attitude or this idea that, well, I know I'm right. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely right. And hence, you're certainly wrong. Well, there's a real good fight just brewing, and especially if you have two people who are convinced they're right and they're standing on opposite sides of the issue. Whoa, you're going to see some headbutting going on right about there. And it can get really, really ugly. So, those are some of the roots of having a fight. Now, let me tell you reasons that you should have a fight, just so you know. You should have a fight when it is right. If there is a thing that is just dead on right, in other words, it is right to tell the truth. If someone's constantly lying to you, they're your friend or they're your coworker, there's someone, your spouse, God forbid, even your child, someone that you really have to deal with on a consistent basis, and they're always lying to you, they just won't tell you the truth. They don't tell you the truth about what they think. They don't tell you the truth about how they feel or what they're doing or what's going on in their world. Yeah, that's worth a fight because it is right to tell the truth to someone that you say that you care about, or someone that you have to work alongside of, or someone that you have a cooperative sort of a relationship with, and it takes a level of honesty for it to go forward. That's worth a fight. Some things are actually worth fighting about. Some things really need to have a fight in order to get them resolved. Now, let me tell you, when it comes to defending right, it's worth a fight. It really is. So you have things like MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. No joke, man. You have your child killed or brutally injured by a drunk driver? Dude, that's worth a fight. Okay. St. Jude, it fights childhood cancer. That's worth a fight. It really is. Someone says, oh, you should be spending that money on whatever else. And no, I mean, anyone who supports St. Jude should defend their position staunchly because A, it's my money and it's my business who I support, but B, I'm helping little children so they don't have to suffer, and I'm helping people find a cure for cancer. I can fight about that. That is worth defending what I'm doing that is right. Truthfully, for some people, it's worth defending life, whether that is the life of the unborn or the life of small children who are being horribly abused or misused, sexually abused, tortured. Honey, all of that is worth a fight. It really is. To defend those who are unable to defend themselves. Very frankly, I think it's worth a fight about women who are being horribly domestically abused. It doesn't need to happen. They're a human being who is worthy of love and kindness, and it's worth the fight. And also, I will say this to you, for kids with disabilities, Johnny Erickson Tata has fought relentlessly for decades for handicapped people to have equal access to buildings and parking and a lot of things. And I think that that is correct. It is worth defending those who are perhaps not in a strong position to defend themselves. So it's worth a fight to fight about someone who needs to be defended or a position. Now, let's talk about how fights happen. First of all, for a lot of people who have a terrible temper or a somewhat out of control personality, it can just take one word and they're in the middle of a fight. Some people just love to fight. I was actually married to a person who used to say, my favorite sport is arguing. And oh, he meant it very sincerely. He'd argue with anybody about anything. He just thought it was hilarious. If you want to have any level of peace inside of your house, your kids need to learn what is worth fighting for, how to have a fight, and, you know, it is not a matter of just get along. I hear so many parents say that. Oh, you just need to get along. No, sometimes you really need to have it out in order that you can come to a conclusion and a place of agreement, and then you can actually move on, or most people can. All right, so you teach your children. State your position clearly. Communication really is key. Don't ramble on for 42 hours about all. No, state your position clearly. This is what I'm upset about. You always leave the bathroom in a mess. Try to teach your kids to avoid the word always and never, because those are offensive triggers in the middle of a fight. So you usually leave the bathroom in a mess. The sink is dirty. The toothpaste lid is off. There's toothpaste everywhere. You peed on the floor. You did not straighten up the shower. There's water all over the place. Your towels are thrown from one end of the room to the other, along with your dirty socks and underwear. You usually leave the bathroom in a mess. You have 3 or 4 siblings sharing a bathroom. This is kind of a really, really, really big deal if you have a child who's pretty concerned about neatness. State your position clearly. Then you may, in fact, own your emotions. I am angry about this. I am frustrated about this. I am sad and disappointed that you so often lie to me and refuse to tell me the truth. I am hurt that you do not make our time together a huge priority, and you're always somewhere with, see, there's that word again. You are so often somewhere with someone else rather than keeping the commitments that you make to me. That really hurts me. You may state and own your emotions. That's perfectly acceptable. State the issue. Do really as much as you can at sticking to the issue. I would appreciate it if you would pick up your own things in the bathroom. I would appreciate it if you would start telling me the truth, even little things that you tell me the truth about, so you might learn to tell me the truth about the bigger ones. I would appreciate it if you would keep your commitments to me. Maybe make less commitments, but keep the ones that you make. The issue. Stick with the issue. And seek to understand the other person. This is a huge one. All right. Very hard to do when our emotions are clear up to here and we're already blah, 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 in full mode, yelling and screaming and calling names and ticked off. So part of the point of having a productive fight is resolution. Not that I'm going to blast mine all over you and you never get to say what you need to say, but that once I've said what I had to say, I'm actually going to listen to you. I'm going to listen to your discussion of the issue. I'm going to listen to your emotions. I'm going to listen to your perception of it. And you know, right then, the first couple of times, it may not ever be possible to come to a resolution yet. You're just at the table having this discussion where you can both start to understand the other person's point of view. Oftentimes, with kids, they need a mediator. Mom, Dad, you're the one. Try to stay out of it. Well, she's right. Well, you know that. And I agree. And no. The mediator is there to keep them on task. So they go off on this tangent. You say, excuse me, that isn't what we're here discussing right now. You need to come back to the main topic that we're discussing and stick to that. Again, that trainload of baggage from however many forevers ago that you want to bring up every single thing they ever did in the middle of this fight, that isn't anything that's going to be healthy or helpful. And so, I'm sorry, you're going off on this big tangent and you can't do it. That's what the mediator does. Ultimately, the goal is resolution. Whether that means, okay, I'm probably really picky about what goes on in that bathroom, and you're not as picky as me, so let's agree on terms. You will put the lid back on the toothpaste. Whether you squeeze it in the middle or from the end, at least you put the lid on. If you pee on the floor, you're going to clean it up. You're going to hang your towel on the side of the tub or put it into the hamper. You are going to put your own clothes up rather than leave them on the floor. After that, if it's kind of wet or a little bit yucky, pardon me, I'm going to handle all that because we're going to come to an agreement. And then you live with that agreement. You live with that agreement for a month or 3 or 4 months and see how it's working out. It's, oh, pardon me, hiccups. It's always a good thing to come back and revisit something a few weeks or a few months later and say, this is very crucial. I appreciate that you listened to me and you have responded to what I asked you. This is a huge factor in conflict resolution because you both are acknowledging to each other that change has occurred that you asked for and that you appreciate it. This fosters amazingly great relationships, and oh my word, this allows your kids to actually get along when they can say to each other, man, you're doing much better at this. You said you would, and you are, and thank you. I appreciate it so much. It's definitely helped. It's helped our relationship. It's helped me to feel better about things. And so have them come back together again a little while later and acknowledge what happened. Or if nothing has changed at all, to say, you said you would change this, except you didn't. And it's still hurting me. It's still angering me. And I would like you to keep your commitment, or we need to renegotiate this. I really want you to help your kids know that often these disagreements are because we love someone and we care about them. And we need to learn how to have a fight with someone or how to fight it out with someone in a way that is productive and healthy. I hope this has been a great deal of help for you and for your family. I will look forward to seeing you again soon on Paint a Beautiful Picture. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.